So, in this recording, I'd like to discuss something very interesting. This is from the book The 48 Laws of Power by Robert Greene. And a friend of mine, a former student, posted this. So, I thought I'd take a few minutes to review what Robert Greene is talking about in his book, which has become very popular, The 48 Laws of Power. I would say that his Machiavellian approach largely doesn't work today because we don't live, in a corporation. Most people, or at least the smart and successful people that I know, they work in the marketplace, and the marketplace wants transparencies. But he has some good points. So let's take a look at the principles of Robert Greene regarding power. Always make your superior look good. Well, that sounds good if you're playing a corporate game, but if I still had a job, I would go further. I would help my superior to perform well, not just look good. Um, the number three is problematic because if you don't reveal your intentions, then how can other people help you, right? Today, the economy is so complex that you need a lot of help and you need to be transparent. You need to be even to be public. Like my business plans will be published so that people can participate. If I don't reveal my intentions to my Facebook friends and LinkedIn connections, they cannot help me, right? So this is, it's not good. Of course, don't reveal your secret intentions. If you have a, secret sauce or proprietary technology, yeah, keep it secret, but you have to reveal your intentions and your goals as much as possible so that people can help you. Speak less, this is really the opposite. You have to speak up more. Like I used to say, you have the right to remain silent and poor, right? So you notice that the people who are getting rich online, they are speaking a lot. They are speaking all the time. Today we have OBS Studio so that you can live stream on Facebook and YouTube. So you should speak as often as you can. Protect your reputation, yeah, it makes sense. But sometimes you have to do certain things that will, you know, uh, a little bit crazy, but don't risk your reputation. Just tell people, I'm going to do an experiment. So don't judge me on that, and then just do the experiment. The problem with protecting your reputation is that people tend to be conservative and they're not trying new things, and this is a mistake. Seek attention, stand out, that's true. But after you get people's attention, you have to prove to them that you deserved their attention and you didn't waste their time. Claim credit for others' work. I wouldn't say claim credit, I would say build on other people's work. Don't start anything from scratch. That's true. Don't chase people. Um, Act, don't argue. That's true. Avoid unfortunate people because there's something in their vibrations that will somehow drag you down. Now, it doesn't mean that you should ignore friends and people who come to you for help, but just offer help and see if they act on your advice. If they don't, then they don't really want success or they don't really want happiness, and you have to let them go. You have to respect their journey. Become indispensable. Well, this is a double-edged sword because if you become indispensable, for example, at your job, then you're gonna have to stay at your job. I would rather, as a teacher, I would rather create video products and membership sites so that people all over the world don't need to see me. They don't need me to serve them. They can just purchase my video courses. Okay, so let's see. Remain unpredictable. This is a little bit like the number three, not revealing your attention. Yeah, sometimes it's good to introduce surprise, but if you're a business owner, you should be predictable in your business operation so that your employees and all the stakeholders can know where you're going, and they don't have to be stressed because they know what you want, they know how you operate. Same thing with your customers. So I don't really understand this idea of remaining unpredictable. Like if you're playing a game of chess, yeah, sure, you can do a move that they couldn't predict. But I think Robert Greene has a very adversarial approach in life. He's thinking that you're alone in your career or business and you compete against the world. So you have to really be careful. You have to hide your intentions. You have to, be secretive. And that's not the world we live in anymore. We have to be transparent. We have to be honest. We have to be forthcoming. We have to reveal our goals and our intentions as much as possible. That's the way to succeed. Number 18, avoid isolating yourself. That's totally true. Don't offend the wrong person. That's true. I mean, there's no reason really to offend anyone, but also don't be afraid to state what you believe is true because you're afraid of offending people. I agree with 20, and I would go beyond not just, keeping your options open, but multiply your options, create new options, create new opportunities. There are so many opportunities out there. Just create opportunities and secure those options, because you can have an opportunity, but if you don't secure it, then you're going to lose it, right? So it's like the stock market. You buy an option and it gives you the right at up to a certain point in the future to buy a stock at a certain price. So you have to secure your options. Play dumb, you surrender, focus your efforts. That's true. 24, yeah, you can be subtle and discreet, but other times you can be like really obvious and loud and not subtle at all, but not rude. You can be more obvious. So number 24 shows that sometimes, actually often you can do the opposite and it's going to be fine. It's just that you have to, choose judiciously what action to make. Like number 24, it can go either way. You can be subtle or you can be direct. Like an example of being direct is, which was very funny, was a video by an internet marketer known as the Rich Jerk. And in that video, we see him in his mansion surrounded by beautiful women in bikinis and sports cars, etc. And he's addressing the audience, the viewers, and he's saying, you're never going to have this because you're a loser. And you're a loser because you don't know what I know. So he's being very direct, but strategically. Obviously, it's comedy, but he's being direct. So it is possible to be direct and at the same time to be entertaining. You can't be direct and just insult people and say you're a loser. But the way that the Rich Jerk did it, it's fun, it's entertaining, and the audience still gets it. Constantly reinvent your image. See, like it's good and it's bad. Because if you constantly change your image, then people don't know what you stand for anymore. But sometimes you can upgrade, you can augment, you can enrich your image. Spotless reputation, good. Explore the desire for belief, good. Like people want to believe that they're right. They want to believe that they've been doing the right thing. They want to believe that it's not their fault. They want to believe that they deserve certain things. And so you have to strengthen their beliefs. Identify their weak spot. Well, I wouldn't put it like that. I would say identify an assumption or a belief they have that is weak, and therefore you can change that belief, and then you can move on to changing another belief that they have, which is a little bit stronger. In other words, when you want to change other people, their thinking and especially their behavior, and this is the case if you're in marketing, you don't want to go head on and confront a strong belief that they have. You want to start with a small belief that they have, which you can take on. And then once you succeed with that belief, then you can move on to stronger beliefs that they have. Carry yourself like a king. That's true. Time your actions perfectly. Ignore what you can't have. Or, if you want to have it, then just change your belief and just, somehow create a belief or a thought that helps you to think that maybe you can have it in the future. And as you change your thoughts and your beliefs, it's going to become more feasible in your mind that you can have what you want. Because when he says ignore what you can have, it's like, well, it depends. Okay, if you don't want it, sure, it's easy to ignore it. But if you want it, it's not a good idea to ignore what you can't have, unless it's something impossible, like you want to become a basketball, star. But if you don't have the height, if you don't have the athletic prowess, then of course you can't have it. But that you shouldn't have it because it's not part of your destiny. But if it's something that you can have, you know, you should strive for it. 37, stage dramatic events. That's true. 38, think independently, act conformingly. This is very true. This is very good. You're thinking by yourself, but when you're in a crowd, you have to conform to other people. You have to blend in. 39, create chaos to gain advantage. So sometimes you don't even have to create chaos because, like, AI today is disrupting everything. So you have to take advantage of the chaos. You have to really, go into it and create your own structure, your own order. Like what I do is that I know people are very confused and even panicky about AI. So I create an AI training program to help people to adapt to the new AI driven economy. Beware free gifts. Avoid the shadow of greatness. Target group leaders. That's true. It's always better when you target, let's say, somebody on LinkedIn who has a large network. And then, if you can win that person over, then it's easier, because that person might recommend you to her connections. Appeal to both the mind and heart. That's true. Disorient others with imitation. Well, disorient, that to me sounds a little bit tricky, deceptive. And like I said, I think the main thing today is that everything is public, transparent, and so the more transparent and authentic you are, the more you're going to win easily. Because what Robert Greene, a lot of what he's suggesting here, is comes from the old days where there was no internet, right? Like it comes from Machiavelli, the Italian philosopher who wrote The Prince while he was in prison. That's kind of ironic. The guy's in prison, so why should you listen to the writings and the teachings of a guy who couldn't avoid prison? But anyways, Robert Greene is talking about the laws of power, but it's not really a law. It's more like the 48 deceptive techniques of gaining power. I think that today, and you can see this in the case of Charlie Kirk, for example, who was recently assassinated. He was a great leader, but there was not an ounce of deceptiveness in him. And right from the start, when he was 18, he revealed his intention right away of building Turning Point USA. So I think the new kind of leadership, as exemplified and demonstrated by Charlie Kirk, it's about being open, it's about being honest, it's about being transparent, it's about going to people and empowering people. Instead of hoarding your power, instead of keeping power to yourself, you go out there and you speak up and you empower other people. And that's how they, give you back more power. And it becomes a virtuous cycle where you empower others and they empower you. You're not operating as a solo operator, in your castle, protecting your power, hiding your intentions, and trying secretive and deceptive techniques to subdue other people. It's not like that anymore. Power today is more democratic, it's more accessible, and paradoxically, the more you share power, the more power you will have.